Hello everyone, hi, thank you for being here. As you probably all know, my name's Sarah Thompson, and I'll just start by giving you a little bit of background about me and why I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm 46 and I live in Bridport, which is in West Dorset. I'm a single mum of two teenagers, 15 and 13, so that's a whole other book just waiting to be written at the moment. But, and I've actually been divorced, separated now for nearly 9 years. So I'm kind of, been in the game a while. And, I think it was actually around the 7 or 8 year mark that I thought, do you know what? I feel like I've got enough distance now between when it all happened and where I am to really start thinking about writing about this. In my day job, I'm mostly a ghostwriter, so I write books for other people, and I'd been kind of, doing that for a while, and I felt like I might be able to reflect on my own story and my own journey enough to kind of bring this book to life, and that's really where that all started. So it's called Happy Single Mother, and the whole thing is really, I don't know whether everyone else experienced this, but when we decided to split up, I felt that this was a really positive decision that we were making, and this was a way to kind of end this dreadful war zone that we were all living in, and take some positive steps and really kind of try and restructure our lives and do the right thing for our kids. And, I was kind of quite excited about it all, but I felt this real pushback from friends and family and society in general that actually, what was I doing? And, did I realize what was in store, and did I really want to be on my own, and was I sure that this was the right thing? It just all seemed so negative. And over the years, again, it'd be great to know if other people have felt this, but over the years I've just felt so kind of, obviously it's been incredibly difficult, but also I've really grown as a person, and I've felt stronger and more empowered, and I've seen so many positives come from this that I just wanted to put all of that into the book as well. And so that's what the book is about, is saying, yes, of course it's bloody hard. The whole way the world is set up is designed to make it hard for us, I think. But actually, if you can, work around these things, there's loads and loads of positive stuff about being a single parent, and a lot of it as well is about research with children. And I think we're told constantly how damaging it is for our children, but actually, if you do a little bit of digging, it turns out it's not damaging for children at all, and they're all fine, as we all know. It's just that the narrative against single motherhood is quite powerful, I think. So I've divided it up into, there's a bit about shame and why, where that sense of shame comes from. There's a bit about money, there's a bit about relationships, there's a bit about your kind of lifestyle and how things change. So all the big themes, really. So that's it, and hopefully it will bring some joy. Hopefully it doesn't all sound too serious as well. I didn't want it to be this really kind of boring research project. It's, there's lots of my own personal story in there as well, and also lots of other single moms and some quite funny things that have happened along the way. Okay, so I was just going to read a short bit from the chapter which is called How Will You Live, which is about how I felt that my lifestyle and my life changed, and a big part of that was kind of my friendships, and how, as everyone involved in Frollo probably feels as well, friendships became so much more important, but also just the small things, and things like not going to the supermarket so much, and not feeling the need to kind of cook meat and 2 veg kinds of dinners, little things that I noticed change about myself. I felt a bit lighter as a person. Anyway, this is just a part of that chapter. So over time, the need to fill my empty spaces with hedonism receded, and I learned to sit more comfortably with the silence. Staying in on a Saturday night alone slowly became less scary, partly because I began online dating, which felt like being in a virtual nightclub from morning to night, to begin with at least, but also because I began to feel at home with myself and my own company. People tell you everything is a phase when your children are small, and this is also true when you're a fledgling single mother. I have learned to entertain again, but in a different way, impromptu with friends, usually according to who has their children or a night off, casual plates of quickly knocked up food and shop bought puddings, watching a film, takeaways, and best of all, eating out, not really entertaining at all, if I'm honest, Without any husbands around, I no longer feel I need to put on that show. I take part in and enjoy the experience so much more this way, and grieve a little for all the years I spent my Saturdays making curry pastes from scratch. Dinner parties weren't the only thing that stopped. Moaning. I stopped moaning so much. As a married woman, I had become a dreadful moaner. I moaned about all the usual household stuff that wives moaned about. The socks left on the floor, the toothpaste lids, the bins. I moaned about the unfairness and the lack of communication and our never the twain approaches to parenting. And I moaned a lot about him. I became riddled with that particular kind of irritation that comes from spending too much time in close proximity to a person. The way he ate and the way he breathed, the weight of his footsteps and how they resonated through the floorboards, a sound that he seemed to have calculated specifically to piss me off. The poor guy couldn't open his eyes in the morning without me finding something to criticize and moan about. I could write a whole chapter about the moaning alone. When he came back from the supermarket one day with the wrong kind of broccoli, and I really let him have it, I knew things had gotten out of hand. Beneath every behavior is a feeling, and beneath that feeling, a need. We do it from the moment we are born. We cry because we are cold or hungry or lonely, and someone comes to soothe us. Only when we become adults, especially female ones, it's labeled nagging, and we're told we're martyrs and ungrateful harridans. I moaned because I was unhappy and I needed something to change. If you reimagine the stereotype of a nagging wife as a woman who is simply letting it be known she is unhappy, think of all the unhappy wives there are in the world. The trouble and strife trope becomes the biggest gaslight of all time. The relationship charity Relate published research in January 2019 that showed over a fifth of UK couples live in a distressed relationship, with the main reasons for staying together being for the sake of the kids and the hope it will get better. Anecdotally, I'd say it's way more than a fifth, but then maybe I only hang out with distressed people. Either way, so many married or cohabiting friends seem to exist in a state of low-level moaning. Their partner doesn't know them. They haven't got anything to say to each other. They haven't had sex for months, sometimes years. They don't have shared interests. He is insular and miserable. He has no friends. If it wasn't for her, they'd have no social life. When she goes away, he just goes to his mum's. It all seems so much louder and so unnecessary. Now I don't need to do it. It had all been a heavy load, that moaning. Realizing it had gone felt like lifting the lap bar up after a particularly nauseating and unsafe theme park ride.
Someone's just popped in the chat. I feel like I moan all the time about how hard solo parenting is with my family nearby. I'm boring myself. What tips do you have to get out of the feeling of burnout to the point I sometimes feel I can't engage with my 3-year-old child anymore?
Yeah, that's I think solo parent. The book is about solo parents as much as it is about single mums, but I mean that is a very special kind of extra difficult load, isn't it? I mean, specific tips. There were some people in the books that talked about kind of, you know, I'm sure you must have already, are you part of the donor conception network, and have you made friends with other solo parents nearby, and, you know, maybe start obviously FOLO is great as well. And, but I think it's okay it's great to make all these tips, but actually you've got to be prepared to ask for help. That was the biggest message that I got from a psychologist in this book, is that you've just got to put it out there and say, look, I am really struggling. Can someone please, can you just pick up my kid on Thursdays just so that I can, you know, have an hour to myself or whatever it is. Just ask for the help, because people like to help actually. And if they don't want to help you, then you don't really want to do them anyway.
No, and I think sometimes that's often one of the biggest things, isn't it? As a single parent or solo parent, you know, however you identify, once you're parenting on your own, you have to do it all yourself, because you almost have to prove that you can do it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just saw that. Sorry, I do apologize. It wasn't donor conception. It's just really hard, but I think, yeah, you've got to find your people, and it does get easier, I think, as they get older. That's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
No, I think that the whole, like, you need to find your people is so important. And I think it, you know, within single parent is almost like an umbrella term, because you have single parents, but you have a whole then host of people, you know, how they became a single parent. And no, it's really tough, but sorry. No, I think that it's, you know, it's just that it is tough, but the flip side is when you do make it work, it is so rewarding. And
those friendships when you actually have, because you have to really rely on a friend, not just kind of meet someone for coffee or go out for drinks, you know, but when you're really asking your friends to help you and you're returning those favors, I think that really kind of builds your friendships. They become so much more significant. So I wish you well. I hope you can find just one or two people to help you share the load a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Ask for help, find your people is definitely very good advice. One of the questions I've got is, what is one of the biggest misconceptions that you think people have about single parents?
I think there's a lot. I mean, there's that kind of idea that single mums on benefits, that we're all lazy and we all have children so that we can get housed somehow. You know, it's just it's so boring and dull, isn't it? And actually, but one of the things I found out in my research is that, I can't remember the wording now, but you know, of all the single mums who are claiming benefits because life's bloody expensive and they need to, you know, loads of them, a huge amount, are actually in full-time work or nearly full-time work. You know, it's just that they still can't actually make ends meet because we live in a world where it's built on a dual income model, basically. So everything's much more expensive for you when you're a single person. So that idea that single mums are somehow enjoying a benefits lifestyle is obviously a massive misconception. And also that children suffer, you know, again, there just isn't the research. All the research is about what happens when you don't live in a traditional nuclear family. There isn't much research that says what are the positives when you are raised by a single mum, you know, but hopefully things are changing slightly and that will turn around eventually.
Yes, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I work full time. I have 2 jobs. I have a child, and everyone immediately like, oh, is your child okay? Like, oh, how's, you know, I'm like, he's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. No one would ever dream of saying that to you if you were married, would they?
Or it's when you go somewhere and then they say like, well, where's your child? As if I've just left them at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Someone said, I heard you write about online dating. How did that go for you? I'm the only single person in my group of friends, so I feel like an outsider, and they went a little bit about going on dates they don't really understand.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new universe of things, but I've just always found it to be a really great source of stories, you know, and I think you've just got to lose the expectations that this is a second time around, that you're going to get married again or any of that stuff, and just treat it as almost like a going to the fair, or, you know, just kind of, it's a first time for everything, and everyone is really interesting out there in dating world. You know, they've all got such fantastic stories. I feel like I've been very privileged to go through that experience and meet such a lot of different people. I don't think it's kind of like going to a dinner party full of really, really interesting people, and you wouldn't have that if you stayed married to the same boring person forever. So go dating and then tell all your married friends, because they love it. They want to know, you know, all the juicy details as well. So definitely.
I love that. I think one of the things people talk about a lot on the app and kind of, you know, friends in that, they'll say they really struggle with confidence dating when they become a single parent. Have you got any kind of tips or thoughts on how to maybe help boost your confidence before then you go? Because it is quite a big step.
One of the things that I've really learned is don't go out and get drunk. You know, don't go out and to the pub and drink 6 drinks to steal your nerves and then be surprised when it doesn't kind of work out. You know, I think do something in the daytime when you're feeling awake and fresh, and maybe I'm not suggesting that you go and do crazy golf or something, but you know, there's something to take your mind off to kind of sitting there looking at each other going, are we going to get along? I can't think what, but you know what I mean, just go to a gallery or something that's distracting. But also for me, just going back to that point, just try to remove the expectations of, you know, of society, really. It doesn't have to all end in a fairy tale. Just enjoy the experience for what it is.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like sometimes a date can just be a date, like a nice experience, and nice doesn't have to be like, this is my next husband, this is the person I'm going to marry, this
Exactly.
is the person I'm
gonna, and if I, and then you follow each other on social media, and then maybe in 6 months' time it does become a date or something. It just doesn't have to follow that linear path, I think, anymore.
Someone said, what did you find the most difficult part of writing Happy Single Mother?
That's a nice question. I think it was remaining respectful to my ex-husband, who is my children's dad, and knowing that I didn't want to write a book that left anyone feeling that they had not had a chance to, for a balanced, inevitably, like most couples who split up, we get along a lot of the time, and a lot of the time we don't. So it was just trying to sort of edit him from the story, but while also keeping the story authentic, and just feeling like, should I really be sharing this? I think it was a lot. I did phone my publisher a couple of times in tears, going, I can't do this. But I'm really glad that I have now. So.
What was then, on the kind of flip side, what was the best part of writing the book, other than obviously writing the whole book and having the book?
Yeah, I think it's kind of crystallizing my thoughts and feelings about it all. As a writer, you do I find that I only know what I'm thinking once it's all out on the page. So it was a real exercise in sort of my own personal therapy as well, to crystallize all my thoughts and feelings and realize how far I'd come and what I'd achieved, and also just talk to so many other single mums, and really have been blown away by the like Zoe, who's founded Frollo, and every single mum has got a brilliant story behind her, that I don't think enough of it as are being celebrated.
100%, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You talk about being a single mother as being a major act of resistance and self-care. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I guess we're also switched on to self-care now, aren't we? I mean, even when when my marriage ended, it wasn't really a thing. I don't think we knew what self-care was, going to a spa and getting your nails done or something. It wasn't this, this fully fledged concept, but I think hopefully most of us understand and try and do a little bit of anyway. And so, I think I was just trying to say that sometimes putting in those boundaries and going, no, I'm not prepared to live in this miserable situation anymore, or I want to, this is the life that I want, not this life, and actually just taking those steps, horrible and difficult as it is at the time, is actually an act of self-care, because it's about preserving your own future. And I think in a society where it's still very much married is best, you've got to get married, or the happy ending is this, I think it's quite radical to say, no, I'm not doing that, sorry. And you do meet a lot of resistance just from friends and family, even now, have you met, are you seeing anyone, or everyone wants me to tick the box and close the file, so you are constantly pushing against the expectations of other people, I think.
And when you became a single parent, was there anything that maybe misconceptions that you had that then you realized were completely wrong? Or
I think that's really what it's about, is that I felt like a failure. I felt like a total loser, and that I'd got it wrong and everyone else seemed to be able to get it right. And what had I done? Why had I cocked it up, and it's taken this long, and writing the book, I think, to really sort of turn that feeling around about myself.
Someone has said, you're a writer, and with your books you can and are raising awareness. How do you think the rest of us could raise the profile of single parents and help to break the stereotype?
Oh God, that's such a great thing. And I just wish, I think just share all the positive things, just be proud. And, whether it's on social media or if it's that little pushback all the time, so when someone does say, I'm seeing someone at the moment, and a friend obviously saw me walking down the street with him, and texted me to say, it was so great to see you so happy. And it's like, I didn't look miserable before, you know, I wasn't unhappy before. It's just you've got to sort of, I think, at grassroots level, just push back a little bit when people force the narrative on you. But yeah, and also just celebrate it and keep shouting about it and keep telling everyone how fine you are. You know, that's the other thing. I get a bit fed up with this strong single mum thing, you know, as if single mums have to be exceptionally strong. You know, actually we're just normal and fine, and our kids are fine, and can everyone stop feeling sorry for us all the time, I think is the route that I would like to see things go.
Yes, I love that. Someone has said it's almost like people feel sorry for
Yeah,
you when you become it, and it
they
is.
do.
I definitely found that.
They
So.
do. Well, read the book because there's loads of interesting facts in there. One of them is that married women die younger because they work harder, and they, you know, they so not that, you know, they have to give so much more. Married men live longer, and married women die younger because they're looking after a man, basically. And the happiest group of people are women who've never had children and never got married. So
I love that.
Yeah, there's lots of little interesting things like that in the book that you can throw back at people when they feel sorry for you.
Oh, I love that. Someone's just said that really made me laugh. I'll never marry.
Exactly. Why is that not common knowledge, you know?
I said in I was in work today, and I was talking about it's National Single Parents Day in a couple of weeks. And someone turned to me and just said, "Why do single parents need a day?"
Yeah,
and I was like, how many single parents there are. I was like,
I know.
That's not that many. I was like, yes, there is.
Yeah, it's the official figure is 1 in 4, but research from Sheffield University suggests it's at least 1 in 3 because it's so fluid, you know. Some people are single parents for a bit and then they're not, and then they are again. So yeah.
And like you say, it's not like one box fits all, is it? It's not, you can come in and out. Some people are in really complicated relationships.
Yes, and there's the whole polyamory thing as well. That's all happening, and it's just that we seem to live in a system that assumes we're in a 2.4 situation, and that's when it all starts to get hard because you can't run on the same energy. Yeah.
Someone's asked, have you started any rituals or traditions with your children since becoming a single parent that bring you joy? And
that's really lovely. Yeah, I think I have, not necessarily consciously gone, here's a tradition, but I know that every year I've worked out that going on holiday, the 3 of us, is good for us, as you know. We do go with other families and things, and that's really nice because there's loads of fun and there's company and stuff, but actually just 3 or 4 days on our own is a really lovely thing to do as well, because, well, for all the same reasons that going on holiday is nice. You know, you're more relaxed and you're somewhere new and you haven't got all the crap of daily life around you. And I think it's great to go away with friends and have a laugh. I think it is nice to just, even if it's just, you know, somewhere nearby, just grab a couple of days where the 3 of you can kind of switch off from the humdrum nature of your normal life. I think, it's a silly thing, we have a little board game on the kitchen table now that the 3 of us play over dinner sometimes. You know, I'm not a big board games person, but that's been quite a nice way to just have a bit of a laugh at dinner sometimes. With teenagers is so hard because they just hate you so much that it's really difficult to do anything. That's about nothing, you know, nothing unusual, but I would definitely recommend getting away, just a household if you can, just for a few days.
No, that's lovely. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a newly single parent? So if like one of your friends or something came to you, what would be your kind of key bit of advice?
That's a good question. Sorry, my dog's having a big drink of water in the background, it says.
That's Okay.
Yeah, get a dog. That's one piece of advice. That's been lovely. That has been a really lovely chance for us all to love something together, you know, that we all look after. I mean, not that they actually do any walking or anything like that, but just that we all love him is a really nice thing. I think one of the things I noticed when I first put up was everyone saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry." And it's like, it really annoyed me, and I wanted to come at it from a positive point of view. So I guess maybe that would be my piece of advice, is just try and kind of switch off that noise about, oh, terrible, and try and keep focus on your own, what you want, and, you know, where you know you're going, and the light kind of thing. It's not very constructive advice.
It's good. It's always interesting because everyone will always kind of pick a different type of thing with that question.
Yes, yeah. Say congratulations, not committed. Exactly. Yeah, because actually, you know, you're about to live longer than if you'd stayed married. So that's good.
I love that. Someone said they didn't think they were going to laugh so much. So very much enjoying it.
Good.
They've said you have other books out. You have other books about motherhood. Could you tell us how they sit with one another, or if there's been an evolution from one to the other?
Yeah, definitely an evolution from one to the other. The original one was called You're So Mummy, and it was a book that I co-wrote with a friend when we were, you know, we had very young children. It was that whole mummy blogger era, and we wrote a blog, and we got a book deal, and it was great, but it was mostly just quite a lot of moaning, actually, as I've referred to in this next book, you know, just going, what the fuck is this? This isn't fair, you know. So I think there is an evolution, certainly in the way that book sounds compared to this one. And obviously I've got older children, I'm a bit more reflective and a bit wiser, and been through the mill a bit more. So yeah.
And what's kind of, if someone who is going to read your book, what's the main takeaway that you kind of want them to get from it?
That this is a great thing, you know, and that this is not anything to be ashamed of, and there's certainly no need to feel like a failure. You're not letting your children down. You're actually going to have a really good laugh. You're going to make some amazing friendships. You know, the really difficult thing is the money and the financial side of being a single mum. And there is, I've said in the book, there actually just is no way around it. And, you know, without bringing down all of the systems and, you know, and all that kind of big top level stuff, which obviously we want to do, but that may not ever happen in our lifetime. There is no way around it. So, but I've tried to reflect that actually, you know, there's a piece in The Guardian a couple of days ago about the things that you can do to really impact climate change. And they were like, take one short haul flight every 3 years, keep your cars a really long time, keep all your electrical items a really long time. And I was thinking, that's me. That's what I do. You know, as a single parent, I don't have new cars. I don't travel loads of places. I'm pretty broke the whole time, but actually I'm very green, and that is a good thing. And I'm, you know, single mums will save the planet by this, according to this article. So, and actually the other thing is that all that, you know, having lots of money just doesn't, it's such a cliche, but it really doesn't make you happy. And there's a bit in the book as well about the mental health of children from really affluent backgrounds, not being so great. You know, it's not, it's just, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just a different type of grass, really. So
I love that. The grass isn't always greener. I mean, I love all of these little like quotes that are coming out. I'm taking away that I'm going to live longer. So I'm
yes, exactly. You are, because you're going to be having much more fun and cooking less meals and generally, you know, being more authentic person. I think that's the, I found that I have become more of my authentic self. I think as a mother, you're always giving, aren't you? And you probably won't really realize who you are until you're 85 or something. But certainly as a single mum, I feel more authentic.
Yeah, definitely. Someone said in the comments that it really annoys them that single mothers are judged way more than single dads are in the breakup.
Yeah, so I've highlighted some. I just did like a Google search on, one of the national newspapers headlines: single fathers and single mothers, and it is astonishing. Single mother killed son with bleach. Single mother slept with man 8,000 times. Single mother murdered so and so. And then the single dad headlines are hilarious. They're like, single dad helped daughter with first period, and adorable picture of single dad, and our single dad's irresistible. I mean, it's just astonishing, the unbelievable what's the word, bias, basically. In fact, I mean, it's hard. That's the other thing. Men just get called men. They don't get called single dads or anything. We get compartmentalized into our status as married or unmarried.
Yeah, but it's the same thing, isn't it? Around, sometimes we congratulate a single dad for spending time with their children.
Yeah.
No one congratulates a single mum for looking after their kids.
Exactly. It's no, and then it's just again in my research as well. There's a whole sort of legal history to this, and how we've arrived at this, and it's all to do with the law, and when women got sent to the workhouse if they didn't have if their dad wasn't, if they weren't married, and all, it's quite shocking, really, when you really look at it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Rachel said, can you talk about finding your identity as a single mom? And you talked about like being your authentic self and kind of being more authentic as a parent.
I think one of the things that really helped me with that, I don't know how everyone else felt it, but I think when there were two adults in the house, it became very easy to be that kind of good cop, bad cop parent. Have you seen the mess in here? Wait till your father gets home, and I'm going to tell dad, and that kind of parenting. I think that I grew up with. I don't know what other people grew up with, but and I think that we were a square, and now we're a triangle, basically, and sometimes we're a triangle like that, and other times we're it's all, I just feel like I'm much more myself in front of my children, which sometimes might not be a good thing. That might be lack of discipline or whatever it is, but I just feel like, rightly or wrongly, they're going to know that they knew me when they grow up. I won't be this kind of, there isn't this distance between us that I think sometimes comes with dual parent relationships, where it's the kids against the adults. We're very we're more level, I guess. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. There's definitely no good parenting advice, but that's not the point. It's just about what works for you, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's really nice.
Yeah. So that was a big thing for me, finding my authentic self, in terms of just taking away that other relationship in the house, basically, and being very authentic with my children, and in terms of the friendships and the people that I sort of want to hang out with. You lose that thing of hanging out with someone because your partner might like their partner, or because your kids are go to the same club or whatever. You end up having friendships that you actually want because they're your friends, not because of your marriage or your partnership.
Someone in the chat has said, did you have any struggles at work because of becoming a single parent? I've had to fight a lot pre-COVID to be able to work from home and leave early for special occasions, things like that. Whilst the company did accommodate that, it felt as though they were doing me a favor. What's your experience been?
Well, I'm self-employed, so I've had I haven't had to face that, although I have had a horrible experience with, but I think I had a horrible experience because of my status as a single mum. Actually, I can't go into it, but there's something in the book as well about a nurse who had to take the hospital she worked for to court because they wanted her to work flexible hours, and she was saying, no, I can't work flexible hours, and they were trying to sack her, basically. And I can't remember the top of my head. It's moved things forward, basically. It has basically established that women do the childcare disparity, they call it. You know, we shoulder the burden of the childcare a lot more than men do, and employers have to recognise that. How that actually works in the real world, I don't know, but just keep fighting, keep being difficult. That's the thing. It's annoying, but you've got to.
I was reading a lot of stuff this week. So obviously it was International Women's Day a couple of days ago, and I was reading an article about how when men drive to work and their commute, they go to work, they drive home, whereas women get in their car, take the kids to school, go to the pharmacy, then go to work, do some work, then go to the supermarket on the way home, then and then eventually get home. And
it's called trip training, isn't it? Yeah. It's I would really recommend that book by Caroline Criado Perez. It's called The Invisible Women, and it's all about stuff like that, how even down to traffic management, men get a better deal because the traffic lights are set for their, for their journeys rather than ours. It's nuts. I
must just say, have you got the book with you there? Someone's just said if you can hold up the book and they can see.
Single mother. It is available on Waterstones and Foils and Amazon and Kindle and audiobook. That was why I wrote it, wanting it to be the book that you would give a friend or to yourself, if you just split up with someone, or if you're just going alone and need that kind of confidence that it's going to be okay.
I love that. I think that's such a good, and it is, if you had a friend who had just, gone through a breakup or had become a single parent for whatever reason, that is such a nice, positive thing to give them, isn't it?
Yes. A manual.
What's the part you most enjoyed about writing the book? Someone's just asked.
I think I enjoyed really thinking hard and writing down the things in my life that had changed, and not the big things. I didn't shave all my hair off, and I didn't get a tattoo, and I didn't sign up for a triathlon or anything like that, but just the little things about going to the supermarket and just these days just having a basket rather than a big trolley, that just feels, I don't know, and being able to, the house can be a bit more of a mess these days, but I also equally don't care as much these days. It's like, kind of just how the load became a little bit lighter, basically, but in the small details of life, not the big stuff.
No, I love that. And I think I haven't got any other questions, but I think maybe if you can finish on kind of what is the best thing about being a single parent for you?
I suppose it ties in with that authentic self thing, just being my own boss and feeling not in charge in a sort of autocratic way, but just being in charge of my own destiny, I think, and being proud, just so proud of everything that my children achieve and that I achieve, because I know that I've done it swimming against a pretty heavy tide sometimes, so the pride.
I love that. We should all be so
Absolutely.
proud.
In fact, it was a quote by J.K. Rowling which said, because she wrote Harry Potter when she was single mum, and she said she's prouder of her 8 years as a single mum than anything she's ever done, and I thought we all need to feel that proud.